You do the like food court, or maybe it's at the bar over there. I don't know.
Low right now.
Oh, I'm low.
Look where you are at my
Oh,
headline.
low like that. I see. Yeah, low right now.
Welcome back to Hustle and Schmear. I'm Jason Salstein.
And I'm Liz Cohen.
Today we are joined by someone who truly embodies the word hustle. She's a fashion insider, a strategic brain, a data lover before data was sexy, and honestly proof that you can survive corporate America, wholesale, trend forecasting, and raising 2 kids.
All while looking chic. She's worked everywhere from Saks to Macy's and Kenneth Cole, from the Toad Report to Lacoste and Solid and Stripe.
She's now a consultant, advisor, startup whisperer who finds time to help companies figure out what they're doing before they blow their millions.
Basically, if your brand is confused, Abbey has already built a spreadsheet about it. Please welcome Abbey
Samet. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you. So excited to be here. Thanks for the nice lead in.
You. We always get started, particularly because we do a lot of morning records. We're coffee drinkers, we're water drinkers. Jason does pomegranate juice. What are you drinking in the morning? What's your go-to?
I cannot function without some sort of tea,
Oh.
mostly jasmine green tea, and that gets me going every morning.
Let's start. Where are you from and how did you end up in New York City?
So originally born in Philadelphia, Philly girl. And
Whoa, wait, this changes the game, Abby. Like, Philly
See?
girls are tough.
yes, definitely. I was
Yeah.
there until I was 8. I was quite tough up until
Yeah.
I was 8. And then I moved to Wilmington, Delaware, found my suburban self there, left to go to college. So I would say it's a blend of Northeast and not New York.
Which is very different. New York is very different than Northeast. I don't know if you feel that way. It's a totally different world anyway.
What was your first job in New York City? Did you intern?
My first fashion job was working at a PR agency. It was an internship. I mean, you didn't say paid or not paid. That's when I figured out that's not what I wanted to do. I came here and enrolled in FIT. After I had my business degree, I said, how am I going to get into New York? I got to figure this out. My family knows 2 people, and those are a long shot to get me into the industry. So
Right.
strategically, I thought, let me enroll myself in FIT. I qualified for this 9-month program. It was like an associate's degree, and I figured that would help me break into the industry, and it did. Through FIT, I found a variety of internships. Like I said, I worked in PR, communications, nothing to do with fashion. It was just really to get the experience I wanted. I ended up getting my first job at the Toby Report. It was super cool. I knew someone that had worked there. I saw the job posting at FIT. Basically, it's a trade-only publication. I wrote every week or every other week. Our clients were retailers. So we had Bloomingdale's, we had Lord & Taylor, we had JCPenney, we had Dillard's. They were all our clients. There were only about 15 of us working there. I was in charge of the juniors market. My job essentially was to be in showrooms 85% of the time, and then write about what I was seeing in a publication that included ready-to-wear, accessories, outerwear. My gig was juniors. So that was before contemporary was even born. There was no such word as the contemporary market or even that moniker describing that price point didn't really exist. It was juniors, bridge, and designer. That was it. I absolutely loved it. I was there for about 4 years. There, I was able to get front row seats at the runway shows. We had clients coming in. Our offices were on Madison Avenue and 42nd Street, right across from Grand Central. Great location by the library.
You're looking at everything, you're seeing what comes in. Is that the moment where you're learning how to see trends and predict trends? And what did you take away from that experience?
I mean, I think I have this innate gut and instinct on what would sell, right? My mind was already predisposed to the creativity that I saw coming down the runway, and I appreciated it. I had to synthesize what was actually going to sell. Would I wear it? I'm the consumer. Am I the target customer? Yes or no? And then figure out who would wear this. Understanding the entire landscape of what fashion was, it was very helpful in helping me analyze and assess what the trends were. My boss used to say to me something like, go find the next 3-arm sweater. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
sure it exists. I'm sure Sakai's done it or Margiela, but I think it was a metaphor for find the next big thing that
Right.
people are going to make millions and millions of dollars off of. I feel like my aha moment when I figured out that I like had some sort of skill. I first and foremost, I got interested in fashion quite young. I'm one of those people that like their mom used to sew and make me clothes. We'd pick out patterns. She was like a seamstress, like by hobby, because her mom sewed. I think a lot of like immigrant families end up sort of like being a little bit more frugal. We can make that. We're not going to buy you the designer version. Of course, I had my subscriptions to Vogue and all the magazines, and they were torn out, hung up on my wall. So I had very early attraction to branding, marketing, and the elevated sort of dream. That picture is beautiful. I will never be her, but I can try. We can all try. It's all marketing, and it worked. And I loved it. I think my mom was sewing my clothes. I had this fabulous grandmother who would take me shopping probably 4 times a year, shopping sprees. And we would go.
Where were you going for that? In Philly?
She would take me to Saks Fifth Avenue.
Excuse
And
us.
King of Prussia Mall, and anywhere we go to Loehmann's, we
Oh,
buy designer stuff at Loehmann's. So I started to accrue at a young age, like designer wardrobes. Like we would go to Bloomingdale's. My mom would bring me there, and I would just get anything I could. I was always the one at school that people would be like, "Oh, you're the fashionista. Oh, little miss this, whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, this is what I love." I had to look pulled together. I had to just have like a look going on and a vibe like every day, anywhere I went. You know how Barbie has outfits for like
yeah.
tennis, Barbie's going here, Barbie's going there, and then you buy a gazillion Barbie outfits for your Barbies. I was like, I need to dress up for this activity that if I was playing tennis, I had the whole get up. As I get older, I'm definitely more chill and relaxed. But yeah, that was the idea. Dressing up. I love the idea of just expressing myself through fashion and having things that were quality, intention behind it. It was never really about massing tons of clothes. I think I was definitely more discerning than my friends and being exposed to different levels of retail, I would say, than my peers, because I think most of my peers, from what I recall, were super happy just to go to the mall and go to the Gap. We had a Strawbridge's and Clothier when I'm dating myself. That was one of those stores that got acquired over time. We had a Lord and Taylor and a John Wanamaker. And they were decent stores, but like you weren't really finding trendy clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
As a young woman in the fashion industry in New York, when did you settle in?
That's a great question. I would say really felt like I was in the mix for real was at Saks Fifth Avenue. In my role where I stepped in as a fashion editor. It was a brand new role. It was a brand new fashion office. That tends to happen in these stores when they bring in some new leadership and then they try to fill these roles. So I think they really liked my experience from Toby. There was just another level. I was like Eloise in this big garage building in the center of New York, across from Rock Center, and just running around the store like it was my backyard. There, I just got so much different type of exposure. Obviously, Saks at that time had 63 stores. They were just realizing that they did not have the under 40 customer. And that was one of my skill sets and my expertise, is understanding the juniors customer as that whole contemporary market started to develop and emerge. I really had built a lot of amazing relationships with the merchant team and really got them to trust me and then help them sort of select brands to come in. We built that whole fifth floor that you see today. And that was just incredible to be able to actually execute at the store level on these trend insights that I had been accumulating and working and building for those 4 years at Toby's. Oftentimes they'd be like, can you do this extra segment? We're going to media train you. And I'd be like on extra, talking to a celebrity, being interviewed in the store. So I feel like I have that approach, like, with all of my positions, like there's no too tall of an order. There's no such thing as too much of an ask to jump in and learn as you go. And that experience was amazing. Of course, the people that I worked with were incredible, super supportive, and was influenced by a lot of amazing mentors and people within the organization. I remember going into the Juicy showroom in LA when it was born. And there was this French cherry zip up hoodie. This is before I think even Paris or Brittany had been sent it. And I was like, that is cute. We need that. And the buyer was like, I don't know if I get that. I'm like, no, seriously, this is like a whole new cool look. And bringing that into Saks. And then here we are 20, 30 years later, that juicy look is still so relevant.
Talk to us a little bit about going from Saks to Macy's.
At Macy's, I was head of global forecasting.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So what does that mean exactly?
Spotting the trends and synthesizing them and just really implementing that into the storytelling that Macy's would do, informing product, informing marketing, and just leading the whole merchant community. I was the eyes and ears of the organization, if you will, in the sense of what is incoming, what are the macro trends, what are the cultural trends, and what are the product trends out there. So we would call it competitive shopping. So when I walked into Kingdom that day, I was
What I do on the weekends, Abby. I didn't know that was a job.
yeah,
I'm
you
like,
could get paid. You could get paid for that.
gotta get into it. So wait, I have a question
Thank you,
because
sir.
that to me, the pressure of that picking for the global, I mean, that's real dollars, right? If you don't hit it right, you'll see it on a spreadsheet. Is there a science to it? How do you predict? And that far in advance, that seems challenging.
Yeah, I think I just jumped right into it. When I moved from Saks to Macy's, you're talking about, $24 billion company, I think of which at least 16 billion of it was ready to wear and
Right.
apparel across private brands and the vendor community. You're really looking at what are the must-haves for the customer. I'm not trying to do everything, but I'm really looking for newness. And that newness represented only a percentage of what the buyers were actually spending. So I think to your point, we would look at runway, we would look at new movies coming out, museum exhibits, what's the Pantone color of the year, had trend forecasting services that we used like WGSN. We had all of those tools. And then I had to synthesize all that. I think what was always super, super helpful was being in the stores and traveling all over the world to really go into the best stores and come away with, oh, this store, it's not even just a trend, but it's how are they merchandising it? How are they styling it? Would our customer at Macy's understand that? And then how can we translate that particular trend or that moment so that our customers can understand it at the mass level? So whether it's private brand that it's only available at Macy's, but if the bling trend was happening, how are we going to communicate that? Are we just going to throw, a heart in like rhinestones on a sweater? Or are we going to really think through, oh, they're applying bling to denim to be on, a great evening dress or, just on a collar placement. Elevate was always part of our language. I think it's about elevating the design teams and our internal functions to be able to raise the bar a little bit so that Macy's customers would view us as a fashion authority. It's really about earning the credibility with your customers so that you show up with certain trends. It doesn't have to be every trend and everything doesn't have to feel elevated to the Chanel level. But if you can sort of break down Chanel and say, oh, it's the boucle, it's the tweed, it's the jacket, which you see on everybody's line out there right now.
In looking at data, what do you think is different between instinct and data and cycles of fashion? Things move quick, and before it trickles down into cerulean blue, how are you able to time it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would work like 12 months, 18 months out. So that just gave us time. Also, I think in our favor, Macy's is a little bit behind, right? Like we didn't have to be first. Fast fashion or more elevated designer brands would do it first, prove the trend, and then we would adapt, right? So we weren't always trying to be first on the trend curve and shock our customer. It was really about creating a storyline that would work with who we knew our customer was. Using data was something that I was always super passionate about.
How do you decide what's data versus what your gut tells you?
Well, I think the data comes from the competitive shopping, being in the stores. Okay, we saw Gap has yellow. We saw Ralph has this yellow. I've gone all the way to Copenhagen and to Milan, and it's in home, it's in tabletop, it's in footwear, it's in beauty, whatever. And you start to line everything up and you say, look, this is real. And then I run into situations where the buyer's like, oh, we can't sell yellow. We've never sold it. We're not going to do it. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you have to start to come up with a palette of yellows from buttery soft all the way to stronger yellows.
With all that in mind, what am I getting this season? Like, is there something I must get this upcoming season?
I'm assuming you have a little bit of everything. And we've been seeing obviously a lot of trends with denim, with all the different shapes, these wider legs, and now there's chatter about going back to skinny, and that changes everything with your footwear. I still think there's like
millennials were never out. I just want to say the millennials, we got a lot of heat. Skinny jean, but it's back. Okay.
No, I didn't go. I knew it would happen. It's like every 3 or 4 years it comes back, but the stores are always second guessing themselves. Okay. And then they always choose the boot cut. Like we're very safe there because that's in the middle.
I thought the big thing was either the romantic blouse, which was very frilly, like from
this.
Yes. And what Abby's wearing right now, which is this kind of preppy polo.
I was going to say a rugby type of sweater, a very fine gauge, beautiful. You can do cashmere. I like them better in a fine gauge knit because it looks more elevated than buying a cotton true rugby, like rowing blazers. Like rowing blazers, I feel like had a huge impact on fashion when they first came out because they were doing this new Americana different from Ralph. And now Ralph is kind of doing that whole rugby look again, and American Eagle. Everybody's got some version.
Let's talk about a little bit more about your career. So you left corporate to work as a consultant, startup brands, and consult with this existing established brands. Can you talk a little about, how you navigate that?
The consulting thing was sort of out of need and also become very intentional, right? I love working with brands. Naturally, I have a lot of experience and I can help build a brand. I can help reestablish a brand. Right after I left Macy's, I went to go work for Solid and Striped, which is a swimwear company. So the consulting is something that I've been doing now for probably the last 4 years. And there's brands that have showrooms that are fully functioning that need help. They need merchandising help. Perhaps their designer, they can't afford an R&D person. And that's where I come in. So they may not be able to afford me per se to come in for a full-time role, but they certainly can bring in someone, a consultant or a fractional, to kind of come in and help carve a path forward and put things on spreadsheets and
So
create.
cool. I would imagine it offers a lot more flexibility. Is that the fun part or is that the stressful part? I'm just curious.
It's like a roller coaster with no brakes.
What is the most common thing you see designers do right? What is the most common thing you're seeing designers do wrong?
I could say founders/designers, because not all designers are the founder. But either way, I find that a lot of designers or brands don't think in terms of like outfitting and merchandising. They're creating items, which I think that's one way to go about it. But when you're creating a collection, you have to ask yourself, what is she wearing with it? Jeans. Okay, well then style with jeans. You've got to show the customer how to wear it. That's the number one thing, number one takeaway I feel from my career in corporate, because we had mannequins and we had windows and we had to show the customer how to wear it. Now, even a designer customer, I think, needs to be taught how to wear something. That's why stylists exist, because stylists are like telling them, hey, you can wear this with this. You're
Yeah.
gonna spend 50,000 a season, you want to know, you want the paint by number,
But yeah.
right?
Well,
So
you want visual, you want some visualization, right?
Yeah.
It's much easier to see it on you if you already see it on somebody else.
Exactly. So I think a lot of these brands, when they're starting up, they don't really think about that.
You think it's more important to build a story and build a brand in a life? You don't have to be everything, but you should have an idea of what that woman is and where she's wearing it to. Because I also agree, when we were buying for the store, you have to think, okay, where is this going in the store? Where is it sitting next to? And how does this look on a table?
It's almost like an album versus singles. Everyone's so singles focused. It's like you really need the album. You need the full collection. I think
What a great analogy, Liz.
thank you. I just came up with it on the
For the
fly.
menu. I love the menu.
Oh, the menu.
Your appetizer, your
Right.
amuse-bouche, your entree.
What would you tell women or young girls who just got out of FIT now?
I think get as many skills as you can. Right now, we're in an era where you could accrue as many skills as possible because the industry is changing so quickly because of AI, because of growing and shrinking organizations, where I feel people are now hiring within working force in fashion. They're looking for people with multiple skill sets and not just one dimension. I think from a design standpoint, certainly you want to have technical design. You want to be able to still illustrate. You want to be able to use Clo3. You want to be able to be adaptable to these programs. I do think it's important to just load up with skill sets.
What does you think the next year, 3 years look like? What would you like to accomplish? What's on your goal to-do list?
Trying to get through 2026. I
Yeah.
think it's been a tumultuous year, just a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of uncertainty. I'm taking it all in stride. So I'm just remaining super nimble and flexible. And the more you talk to people, the more you network, and the more you go to these events, I learn. I think I'm just curious by nature. And when I learn about something, if it aligns with my passion, then I'm like, that sounds exciting. Like, I want to be a part of that. I think, with this whole online shopping, agentic shopping, I think that's interesting. So I'm learning a lot about AI. So that's My vision board, which is the first time I've ever done like a visual vision board other than just typing out goals and things like that.
I met you not that long ago, but it feels like you're killing it. If I were to bet on somebody, I think I'm betting on Abbey Samet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting that vibe.
As we slide into Schmooze Fest, take it away.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Fun rapid fire questions to get to know you a little bit better. I know you're originally a Philly girl, but what's the most New York thing about you?
I could drown out noise and sound and just like kind of coexist with millions of people around me.
That is a very New York thing. That's
It's a
great.
skill. Yes.
A trend you may not love, but you had to buy into.
Oh my God. Barrel jeans.
You're not into it?
Look ridiculous on people.
I bought
Okay.
them and they were awful. I wore them once. I felt like a clown and they're gone. They're out.
They're out.
And look, no offense, but you probably look like one.
It's a rodeo, but I will say in my Tokyo adjacent world, I've got this barrel black pant thing. I don't know. I got into it, but Abby, you're probably right. What's the most chaotic work moment you've survived?
I mean, I think I blocked them all out. I'm being in Paris with my team, not being able to pay the hotel bill because the company didn't have funds to cover the bill. So that was fun.
That's
It was
always fun.
chaotic. We all survived, but it felt we were going to have to stay in Paris for a while.
Right.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Not
And who
too.
was going to pay for that extra stay?
What are you not giving up? That's a splurge.
Oh gosh, it has to be my face. Any beauty treatments to keep this thing whole going.
what's
I
the
figure
latest?
if you
Which-
can like show up with great skin and
Mm.
like good hair, like you're 90% of the way there, and
Yeah.
the clothes are just the backdrop.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. What's one product or one thing for the face that you
That I'm
can't
obsessed with. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I mean, I'm such an experimenter with different brands. Right now, I'm really into my Elta MD, which is essential for you guys. I love serums. You asked me one, but like I
Oh,
like,
that's okay. I'm making a
that.
list. Okay. What's the best advice you've ever received from someone in power or woman in power?
One of the SVPs in my office at Macy's, she had said something like, it's all about how things are perceived. And whenever you do anything or say anything, think about the perception of how other people are going to perceive that. And I really appreciated that.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Definitely reality shows. I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't admit it to many people, but
If you weren't in fashion, what would you be doing?
probably interior design, something with design.
Okay.
All right, this
Hey,
event.
Jason. Yeah.
Are you ready? Runway or retail floor?
Retail floor.
Data or intuition?
Mm-mm. Intuition.
Corporate or startup?
Startup.
Zoom or in person?
In person.
Trend or timeless?
Timeless.
New York or Philly?
New York.
Coffee, tea, or drinks?
Alcohol. Drinks.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Oh my God, I want to say both. Think of a vampire. I've never sleep. No.
Pilates or soul cycle?
Pilates.
Power suit or great denim?
Ooh, I like a power suit.
All right, we're now on to Nosh of the day, Abby. I'd love to hear where you're going, what your favorite restaurants are. Maybe it's Upper East Side, maybe it's not. Jason, you're up first.
Okay, my nosh of the day today goes to Bombay Dar Bar in Coconut Grove. It is Indian and it is delicious. You need to go there and know that you're going home right after. And I highly recommend the tandoori as well as the samosas and their lamb vindaloo. Very
Okay.
spicy, very delicious. And again, recommend you don't go there for a date.
Fair enough. All right, I'll go because I just realized where we're going to, or at least my sister and her hubby, they just landed in New York today, and they're going to go to someone who was on our show before, field trip down at Rockefeller Center. So that will be my nosh of the day.
Shout out Chef JJ.
Okay, Abby.
Hey, Abby, where are we going?
In New York, it's so hard to pick because obviously we have so many choices. Like my go-to is Italian food. My go-to place is La Pecora Bianca. They opened the first one on my block on 26th Street when I lived downtown, and now we have one on the Upper East Side. So
There's a bunch of them. There's one on Upper West Side.
they're so nice. They're so great, so accommodating. I like to go there if I'm craving Italian food. Of
What
course.
about Emilio Bellatos? Everybody talks about Emilio, but Bellatos. Is that something on the Upper East now? Okay.
I mean, people like Elio's. Elio's is like a Rayo's kind of thing that I discovered up here. My first night I went there, I saw Paul McCartney.
I saw him on the Upper West a while ago at Red Farm. He gets around.
He definitely gets around.
Yeah, he gets around. This is very New York coded, but like, what's your bagel order and where's your go-to spot?
Pick a bagel, flat, toasted everything butter. I was prepared. That's the only thing I prepared to answer.
Okay,
All right, our last segment, Mitzvah of the Day. Mitzvah of the Day is a moment where we take a break from the hustle and spotlight everyday acts of kindness. Abby, is there any mitzvah that you want to share?
Last night I went to my synagogue. They had like a 50s. There was a mixer, right?
Oh.
And it was like no religious kind of thing going on. And this recruiter that I just was introduced to was saying, oh my gosh, like, I don't know where to go. It's so hard to meet people like our own age. And 2 days later, I got this invitation in my inbox and I was like, hey, you asked and you shall receive. Would you like to go? And it was last night. So I never met this woman. I'm like, you know what? She wants to do this. I'm going to invite her. I'm the member. I could have gone alone. I could have invited like another friend of mine. And I'm like, let's just go. And I like, she had the best time. She was like working the room, had a great time. There's a little wine, little cheese, little cracker, crudité going on.
It's less pressure too, so it's not like just to meet to date somebody. Like you could just go out to meet.
But what's better than meeting someone in your community if
Yeah,
you
that's
are
awesome.
looking? I felt really good about like inviting her and bringing her into
That
that
we want
community.
to go to that, Jason. I would go to something like that. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it was cute.
All right, that ends our episode with the lovely Abbey Samet.
Yes.
Thank you, Abby, for joining us on this edition of Hustle and Schmear. You can subscribe to our YouTube at Hustle and Schmear. Follow us on Instagram. Liz, Abby, please read us out.
All right, the hustle is real.
And the schmear is extra.